Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Welcome back to the Coaching Coordinator Podcast. This episode is presented by Modern Football Technology. There's an idea called the Peter Principle, and it came from Dr. Lawrence J. Peter back in 1969. The basic idea is simple. People get promoted based on how well they do in their current job until they reach a level where they're no longer effective. In coaching, that shows up fast. You can be a great position coach, move to coordinator, and then suddenly the game moves faster than your process. Or you're calling it on Friday night and you realize you're reacting instead of anticipating. That's where tools and preparation matter. Modern football gives you real-time insight, so you're not guessing. You're seeing the game clearly, making better decisions, and staying ahead of what's happening, not catching up to it. If you want more information, listen to our episode with Folsom defensive coordinator Jordan Ersick and his process for using it, and book a pressure-free demo at modernfootball.com. Let's get into it. The Peter Principle from Lawrence J. Peter's 1969 book, The Peter Principle, Why Things Always Go Wrong, is brutally simple. In any hierarchy, people rise to their level of incompetence. So here's how it works. You get promoted because you're great at your current job. So you keep getting promoted until you land in a role where you're no longer competent. At that point, promotions stop. You're stuck at a level where you're ineffective, and it's not because you're lazy or dumb, but it's because the new job demands skills you were never required to develop in the old one. We see that all the time in football. We could point out all kinds of examples, but we're going to get into how we stop this from happening. The Peter Principle isn't about bad hires. It's about good coaches getting promoted into jobs they weren't ready for. So you can crush it as a position coach, get bumped to coordinator, and then bam, everything crumbles. Or as you own a coordinator role, you land the head gig and suddenly you're drowning. It's the same story. The new role demands skills you never had to use before. And that's where the wheels come off. So the position coach to coordinator, he's big picture blind spot. He's mastered drills, film breakdowns, player buy-in. But now you're calling plays, managing more than your position and answering to the head coach. So the trap really can be things like tunnel vision. You still think like that specialist, the position coach who's obsessed with your own unit while your offense or your defensive unit is collapsing around you. You don't have a good delegation muscle. You micromanage because you don't trust the staff, or there's game plan overload. You're so deep in the X's and O's that you miss things like the clock, the tempo, the emotional pulse of the game because you've never prepared for it. There's the jump from coordinator to head coach. It becomes a leadership vacuum. So you understand the schemes. You have those locked in. Players respect you, but the head coach isn't about plays. It's about people, the pressure, and unfortunately, the politics. And the killers for this coach are things like culture mismatch. You run a tight, loud, aggressive unit. You can do it differently when you were the coordinator, but the locker room needs calm, not chaos. Or it's dealing with things like media. Maybe you aren't used to doing those things. Or having to deal with your athletic director, something you never did before, budget, stuff like that. Staff management, you hire buddies instead of talent. Or worse, you keep the old coordinator in his playbook, but you don't let him cook. There's things like decision paralysis. You freeze when the game's on the line because you never had a final say before. Now it's all on your shoulders. Then there's the head coach who's at one level and then moves to another, and it's a problem of scale. Moving from college to the pros, high school to college, the same type of title, but a different beast. And you trip up because there's a talent gap. You can't coach like you did at a small school, or overmanage, overcoach. When you get to a higher level, people need space to do their job, and they're good at it. There's the ego creep, where you think your system will work everywhere and ignore things around you. Burnout, right? That's what this is going to lead to. You can't do it at a pace you did before doing coordinator and being the head coach. So we have to find ways to beat it before it beats you. And the main thing is, don't wait for the job. Build those skills now. We had Ohio Hall of Famer Tom McDaniels on. He's the father of Josh and Ben McDaniels, and he spent 40 years leading powerhouse high schools in Ohio. And he really nailed the mindset on the podcast when he said, you got to be great at the job you have to get the job that you want. So whether you're a freshman coach, a JV guy, or quality control assistant, you need to master your current role first. You want to study your head coach's assessment form like it's the answer key, because that's your lesson plan. Loyalty, motivation, intensity, clinic attendance, in-season and off-season commitment, those are all real metrics you need to pay attention to in your current role. I think more than anything, you have to be a student of the game relentlessly. Coach McDaniels majored in one position, quarterbacks, while minoring in another, defensive backs. And once proficient, he doubled down. He went to O-line and D-line. He became an expert in one phase of special teams and then expanded to another. Visited bowl practices, spring practices. He subscribed to every coaching resource, sat in front row at clinics, and built a massive library of books and film. Why? Because as the head coach, you don't just coach players. You coach the coaches. Narrow specialists get exposed fast. Real coaches are already doing this, and it works, and we have some great examples. Caleb Collins went from high school teacher and coach into the college ranks. As a GA and analyst at LSU, he rarely got into position meetings because there was always more prep to do. So at the end of every day, he'd set up a camcorder in the empty linebacker room. He'd pretend it was full of players, and he'd teach full installs, defenses, concepts, and protections exactly like he would do in a real meeting. Then he'd rewatch the tape. He'd catch every time he broke eye contact, every spot where the delivery dragged, and he fixed it. And long before anyone ever handed him his own room, he had those things dialed in. That same self-driven habit is exactly what got him on the field at Baylor as an outside linebackers coach, and then promoted to the NFL, and he's the assistant defensive line coach for the Detroit Lions. Another example we had on the podcast was Tom Perkovich, who was recently promoted to the FCS level from Division III as a head coach. Coach Perkovich was already successful at Susquehanna, but he wanted to level things up, and he loved calling plays, but he knew the program needed a bigger picture. So years in advance, he started handing pieces to his offensive coordinator, developmental scrimmages on Thursdays, third and medium calls on game days, handling it when they were blowing out an opponent. And when the time came to fully turn over the play calling, Coach Perkovich knew that he already had built the guy. He still coaches the offensive line and meets with running backs daily, but now he's free to solve problems as the head coach. Talking directly to a defensive back who needs a word, or adjusting special teams, helping the defensive coordinator. He's not micromanaging. He just develops things on trust and gives people a runway to get it done. And that deliberate handoff sharpened both his coordinator and himself and prepared him for that next rung on the ladder where he's able to go to the FCS, and the demands are going to be greater. Coach McDaniels added 3 more non-negotiables. So once you reach a coordinator or head coach level, he said you need to expect the most from your best players and coach them the hardest. He said, to whom is given, much is expected. So you don't pamper talent. Next, he said you have to delegate. Give assistants real job descriptions and real responsibility, and then trust them. Coach McDaniels never once suggested a defensive call during the game. He stayed out of the defensive coordinator's hair. And then last, do the easy things well. Stance, alignment, splits, communications, the fundamentals you completely control. Win games on the basics before you chase the exotic, and never forget the intangibles. Manage prosperity. You want to chart every mistake and blowout wins and ask, was it good enough to beat the best team we haven't played yet? Manage things you can't change, like weather, injuries, bad calls. Communicate relentlessly. Show your players you care about their grades, their family, their lives beyond the field. Never let them wonder what you expect or whether you truly care. In coaching, the ladder is real, but it's not about climbing, it's about arriving. Most guys get promoted because they're good, but the ones who last, they're prepared. A quick word from our presenting sponsor, Modern Football. Look, if you're serious about beating the Peter Principle, you need tools that keep you sharp every single day. And on game day, Modern Football's in-game analytics gives you exactly that. You see the trends developing. You see where you're efficient and not efficient. You see where the opportunities for explosives exist, either on offense or defense, and you're able to get to those adjustments quicker. Be sure to check out Modern Football. Go to modernfootball.com or click the link in our show notes. With all these things in defeating the Peter Principle, it's exactly why we built the Coaching Coordinator Network. We do networking and professional development differently. Instead of just generic coaching content, we've built detailed niche communities where coaches go deep on the exact schemes and philosophies that they actually run. We have things like the Cool Clinics Mushroom Society, the Slot Team Mafia, the Air Raid War Room. Plus, we're launching new ones soon. Coach Nick Caduti's Wide Shoot Offense, Coach Eric Kasparovich's 4-3 Defense, No Free Yards with Dan Carroll, and the Defensive Think Tank with Dante Barti. In these communities, you get massive, ever-growing libraries of content. Like Lawrence First and Goal. In LFG clinics, we have over 700 presentations, and you don't need the Netflix of coaching. So we're being sure that we also curate every piece into our schools, the head coach school, the coordinator schools, and position coach schools. Those curations make it simple for you to find your major and minor and build the exact schools you'll need for the next promotion and make sure you succeed instead of fulfilling the Peter Principle. Inside our Coaching Coordinator Network, our podcasts feature real roundtables with coaches digging into ideas and solving actual problems with each other, alongside sharp insights from guests who've already made a jump to the next level or are elite at the high school level. You also get regular articles, short-form content on our social media, and you can keep the learning constant and practical. When you want to go even deeper, we have begun delivering our Smart Clinics, which are focused events for coaches who want to master something specific. Our first was the RPO Symposium. We'll put the link to that in the show notes. And it wasn't generic advice. It wasn't a bunch of topics spread out over RPOs. It was 5 coaches going deep. We had proven systems that turn good coaches into great ones at every level. We had Joe Moorhead spend 2 hours, and then our panel dug into it with questions. We had a roundtable where we were really getting ideas and solutions to stay ahead in the RPO game, and then a workshop where our coaches got together and fixed things, and then all of the on-demand library. So 18 hours of content in the RPO Symposium is just $49 for 100 days of access. So you have time to get in there and learn and own that material if RPO is your thing. We'll have more coming up, like the passing lab. We'll have some things on the defensive side of the ball, like our defensive think tank clinic. So smart clinics are something new. Be sure you stay locked in, get into the content. Always feel free to DM or email me at Coach K. Grabowski is my X account. My email is Keith at Coaching Coordinator. If you need help finding something in an area you want to develop, I could direct you that way. And be sure to check out Modern Football. It's definitely something that you want to get locked into. I know I'm going to be using it this fall. I'll talk about that later. But I can't urge you enough that this is a tool you really need to look at and dig into. So go to modernfootball.com, our presenting sponsor. I think you'll really like what you see. There's a lot of things. Coaches always find some excuses like, well, I don't think I have the staff to run something like this. We did a podcast with Wisconsin state champion, he was the defensive coordinator at the time. His wife ran the technology for him in game. Or we have Trevor Hudson, who's a state champ in California. He had a female student assistant who would give them all this information during the game, and it was highly effective. There's really no excuses. It's really affordable, something you want to take a look at. There may be other things out there, but I'm telling you, for in-game analytics in real time, in a process that's going to work for you regardless of the staff you have, you want to check it out. Go to modernfootball.com. Be sure to follow all we're doing at coachingcoordinator.com. On our page, you will see soon an area called Coaches. That's where you can find our different communities like the Slot Team Mafia, the Mushroom Society, Air Raid War Room, Lawrence First and Goal Clinics. We're going to be adding some state associations that we're working with in there too, and more coaches that we really feel are going to help you dig into the game. I think one of the biggest things moving forward is that the content is available for you. What you really need is the people who help you put those pieces together. Having the opportunity to go to clinics and network is important. You're going to see people and talk to them, but we want to create those opportunities every day, not just for a weekend. And that's what you get inside the community. I'll give you one example with our slot T community. Paul Kilby ran the slot T at Liberty Hill forever. They went to a new school this past fall, Blanco in Texas, excelled with it. But Paul gets in there, and almost every week he has a Q&A. We just did one where it was Trap Tuesday, and everything for an hour and a half was just talking on the trap. I've learned the trap before, and I'll tell you, I learned things I never even thought about till Paul brought up in there. He also just opens Google Meet weekly, 2 hours for office hours. So it's the opportunity for coaches to drop in who are in this community and learn more. And of course, his library is great. But libraries that aren't connected to the answers, that aren't connected to the people who live this, I think have limited value because you're going to be faced with, I got to figure this out myself. I don't have all the answers. There's only so much you can deliver in that content, and you want a community where you can share with other coaches, and you can have whoever is leading that community at the top guiding you, and that's what we're developing at the Coaching Coordinator Network. Moving beyond the podcast, doing more for coaches. We're really excited about it. We're always looking for guys who want to share. We're not necessarily looking to develop a marketplace, but if you have something that you feel is really valuable and is going to work for coaches, we have no problem getting behind it. Feel free to reach out to me again, DM me on X at Coach K. Grabowski, or email me, keith@coachingcoordinator.com. The link to everything we do, my contacts, will be in the description. We're here for you. We're here to serve you and do better for you in a modern format.